In this video we're going to look at how to calculate the perimeter of a variety of semicircles and quadrants. So in the past we remember that our formula for the circumference of a circle was c is equal to 2 pi r, and that will give us the circumference of an entire circle. But we don't have an entire circle here. What we have are half a circle and a quarter of a circle and another half of a circle. It's important to recognize that this is not going to be equal to, this one here is not going to be equal to simply the circumference of a circle divided by 2, because the circumference of a circle divided by 2 would be something like this. It would have no joining point in between it, because if I took two halves of the circle's perimeter and added them back together, it would look something like this. And if I divided them in half again, it's this and it's this. It's no lines in the middle. So this line here where the diameter is actually something that we have to add on at the end when we find out what the perimeter of half the circle would actually be. So let's look at this now. We know that this part here is going to be the perimeter of half of our circle. And we know that what we have to add on to that is this diameter section here. So first let's solve for a whole circle, and then we'll divide it by 2. So in order to find the circumference of the circle, it's going to be equal to 2 times pi times our radius. But we don't have a radius. What we do have is a diameter. And if we remember from previous videos, the relationship between the diameter and the radius is that the radius is equal to the diameter divided by 2. So our diameter is equal to 4, our radius must be equal to 4 over 2, which is equal to 2. So we can go back to our circumference and we find out that it's 2 times pi times 2. What's that going to equal? That's going to be 2 times pi times 2. Well, that's going to be equal to 12.56. Now, this isn't too good, because what we've actually got here is a complicated or lengthy circumference of this circle. And we want to maintain this level of accuracy, but we don't want to round it up until we're done with the calculation. So we need to adjust our formula a little bit. So we know that the circumference, that's going to be equal to the circumference of an entire circle. But what we need to do is divide that by 2. So in order to find the half of the circumference, we would do 2 times pi times 2 over 2 would be the circumference of half of our circle. And then we would add on the extra 4 units of our diameter. Would be the circumference of the would be the perimeter of the entire semicircle. So let's do that now. The perimeter of the entire semicircle is going to be 2 times pi, let's do it again, 2 times pi times 2 equals this, divided by 2, plus 4. So the perimeter of our entire shape is going to be 10.28 if we round to 2 decimal places. So P is equal to 10.28. Was that? It's 10.28. Yes. 10.28. And we don't have any units, so we're just going to write 10.28 units, and you would write 2 decimal places. And you'll be done. And that would be this entire section, the 4, plus half of the perimeter of a circle. Let's look at this next one. So this next one is this section here is going to be a quarter of the perimeter of the circumference of the circle, and each of these sections is equal to the center point to the edge of the circle is called the radius. So each of these points are going to be equal. So this is also 2.8 centimeters. So we can figure out that the perimeter of this entire shape of B is going to be equal to a quarter of 2 times pi r plus, well, 2.8 times 2.8 twice, so 2 times 2.8. And if we put in the radius here, this equals to a quarter times 2 times pi times 2.8 plus 2 times 2.8. Now if we solve for our perimeter, we can just plug this into the calculator. So we go all clear. 2 times pi times 2.8 equals 17.59, but that's the circumference of the entire circle. We only have a quarter of the circle, so we divide this by 4. And then we add on 2 times 2.8 in brackets, which is going to be equal to, hold on, we might need to redo that, 2 times pi times 2.8 divided by 4 plus bracket 2 times 2.8 bracket equals. So the total perimeter of our shape is going to be equal to 9.998, which is just going to round up to 10.00. And this one is in centimeters. Alright, let's look at C. C has given us this distance here, and this distance we recognize as the radius. So we know that this circumference of this semicircle is going to be equal to half of the entirety of the circle. So that's going to be half times our formula for the circumference of the circle, which is half times 2 times pi times our radius, which is 3.9. But then we need to add on our diameter, which is going to be 2 times 3.9. Okay, so our perimeter is going to be equal to 2 times pi times 3.9 divided by 2, and then we add on in brackets 2 times 3.9, and this is our answer, 20.05 meters. Alright, so that's how you solve for the perimeter of a variety of semicircles and quadrants. I hope this helped, and I will see you in the next video.